James Cagney really hated him more than anyone. James Cagney was born James Francis Cagney Jr. on July 17, 1899 in a tough working-class neighborhood of Lower East Side Manhattan, New York City, a crowded area filled with immigrant families and full of both fun culture and money problems. His parents were James Francis Cagney Sr., a man who was completely Irish and worked different blue-collar jobs to pay the bills. He mostly worked as a bartender and tried to be boxer for a while, bringing both physical toughness and a quiet way of never giving up into the house. His mother, Carolyn Elizabeth Nelson, had different European family background, being part Norwegian and part Irish, and was known to be a strong, steady person in the family, often making sure her children were taken care of even though the family didn't have much money. The mix of Irish charm and Scandinavian roles in his house may have helped create Cagney's special combination of being likable and working hard, later seen in his movie acting. James was the second of 7 children, growing up with all the noise and closeness that come with a big family in a small city home. The Cagney family was far from rich, and the children had to work or help out in whatever ways they could. Even with these hard times, Cagney did great in school and got into Stuyvesant High School, one of New York City's best public schools, known for being really hard. He finished school in 1918 at the end of World War I, a time full of both happy and worry for young Americans wanting to keep going to school. Cagney went to Columbia College at Columbia University, one of the best schools. This was really amazing considering his working-class background, but his plans were suddenly changed after his father died. This loss not only broke his family's hearts, but also made things really hard with money. This sad even forced Cagney to quit college and start working to help his family, a feeling of duty and responsibility that had carried with him his whole life. Cagney got into show business almost by accident. His older brother, Harry Cagney, got a part in a pantomime show directed by Florence Ames, and young James worked behind the scenes as a scenery boy. When Harry got sick, Cagney stepped in, taking the chance with amazing confidence and excitement. He was able to say the lines perfectly, showing not only a good memory, but a natural talent for performing. That early fill-in lit a spark in Cagney that would eventually grow into a legendary career in theater and movies. In 1919, wanting to keep going with a career on stage, Cagney tried out for the wartime music hall show Every Sailor. The part nay date a chorus girl, a weird role for a man to try out for. But Cagney's only dancey experience was with the Peabody, a popular fast ballroom dance. With Harmon making things up as he went, he showed the Peabody steps and was able to convince the producers he had stage potential. It was an early sign of his boldness, ability to change, and skill to win over an audience. After years of smaller parts and stage work, Cagney got his first big break in 1925 when he was chosen for the tough 3-act play Outside Looking In, written by Maxwell Anderson. He played a young tough guy, a character type he would later become famous for. Cagney's acting earned him $200 a week, a lot of money back then, and more importantly, it showed his ability to play street-smart, emotionally complicated characters with skill and intensity. With his starizing, Cagney's creativity went beyond acting. He started a dance school for professionals, training future dancers and earning a reputation as a forward-thinking choreographer and teacher. His special teaching style got attention, leading to an invitation to choreograph and star in the funny musicals Grand Street Follies of 1928 and Grand Street Follies of 1999. These shows, known for their humor and social comments, let Cagney show his singing, dancing, and comedy talents on stage and earned him and more recognition. In 1931, Cagney got into the world of movies with a bang. He was first chosen as Matt Doyle in the gangster film The Public Enemy opposite Edward Woods, who was supposed to play the main role of Tom Powers. But after looking at early film, producers saw Cagney's compelling screen presence and switched the roles, making him play the fiery Tom Powers. The film Success launched Cagney into stardom and made his image as Hollywood's most exciting and believable tough guy. That same year, Cagney and another rising actor, Edward G. Robinson, worked together in crime film Smart Money, further showing his talents and range. But as Hollywood got used to the movie production code of 1930, enforced more strictly by 1934, which tried to limit violence and bad behavior in films, Cagney began to branch out. He showed his lighter side in the comedy Blown Crazy, proving he wasn't limited to just gangster roles. In 1932, Cagney starred in Taxi, a tough drama where he played a fighting cab driver. He earned a $1,000 a week contract with Warner Brothers, securing his place among Hollywood's top moneymakers. Taxi also marked a big moment in Cagney's career. It was the first time danced on screen, showing his musical roots, and it was the last time would allow real bullets to be used during a shootout scene. After almost getting hurt, this was a clear sign of his growing power in the industry. Cagney's acting as Rocky Sullivan in the 1938 crime drama Angles with Dirty Faces was a landmark role. His skilled performance as a gangster-facing execution earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and won him the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Actor, further making his reputation as one of the greatest actors of his generation. His most praised role came in 1942 when he starred as patriotic entertainer George M. Cohan in the musical movie Yankee Doodle Dandy. Cagney's energetic and heartfelt performance captured the spirit of American toughness and earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor, with the film receiving 8 nominations and winning 3 Oscars. It was not only a personal win but also a deeply meaningful film during the early years of World War II. Cagney also treated Shakespeare, taking on Heisenley's classical role in A Midsummer Night's Dream, showing his versatility and willingness to explore different acting challenges. By the end of the 1930s, he had completed 10 productive years in the film industry, finished with the Depression-era crime film, The Roaring 20 Seconds. In 1942, he took more control of his career by starting Cagney Productions, showing his independence in a studio-controlled era. That same year, he was also elected president of the Screen Actors Guild, showing his leadership and commitment to making working conditions better for actors. In 1943, Cagney Productions released its first film, Johnny Come Lately, a heartwarming drama that gave him a different kind of role. For the film Blood on the Sun, he trained in judo to do his own stunts, a bold move for an actor in his 40s. Despite the effort, the film didn't do well at box office, and money problems soon hurt Cagney Productions. To prevent more losses, Cagney made a deal to combine Cagney Productions with Warner Brothers, going back to a more secure studio arrangement. In 1949, he gave one of his most famous performances as Cody Jarrett, a ruthless, mentally unstable criminal in White Heat. His scary cry, "Made itma, top of the world," became one of cinema's most unforgettable lines, and the role is widely thought of as the peak of his film career. In the mid-1950s, Cagney accepted a new challenge in the MGM Western tribute to a bad man, 1955. While the role was outside his typical gangster character, he got great reviews for his depth and seriousness. He later starred in These Wilder Years opposite Barbara Stanwyck, further proving his acting longevity and ability to adapt. After a long break, Cagney returned to film in 1981 with a small but touching role in Milos Forman's Ragtime, playing a corrupt police commissioner. 3 years later, he made his final screen appearance in the 1984 TV movie Terrible Joe Moran, a quiet goodbye to an amazing career spanning over 5 decades. During the early years of his stage career, while trying out for a vaudeville show called Pitter Patter in the early 1920s, James Cagney had a life-changing meeting that would shape his personal life for decades to come. It was during this tryout process they've met a young chorus dancer named Frances Willard Vernon. Frances, just 16 years old at the time, had a graceful charm and quiet strength that immediately caught Cagney's attention. Despite their age difference and the crazy pace of show business, the two quickly became close friends. They found shared values based on discipline, family, and hard work, traits that were rare and deeply appreciated in the wild world of entertainment. Their romance grew behind the curtain, away from the spotlight, based on mutual respect and a shared sense of modesty. James and Frances, whom he lovingly called Billy, were married in 1992, marking the beginning of one of Hollywood's most lasting and stable marriages. Unlike many of their peers, whose relationships were often destroyed by fame, scandal, or personal excess, the Cagney family led a comparatively private and grounded life. Their union, which lasted nearly 65 years until James Cagney's death in 1986, was widely admired in both professional and personal circles as a rare example of lasting love in the entertainment industry. Though unable to have biological children of their own, James and Frances deeply wanted to build a family together. They eventually chose to adopt, a decision that showed both their strong commitment to raising a family and their sense of responsibility. Their first child, a son, was named James Cagney Jr. Growing up in the shadow of a larger-than-life Hollywood legend was not easy, but James Jr. followed high sound path with his father's quiet support and guidance. Later, the couple adopted a daughter whom they named Kathleen Cagney, lovingly nicknamed Casey. Both children were raised away from the Hollywood spotlight on the Cagney's farm in Martha's Vineyard, where James found peace away from the chaos of fame. Frances focused on creating a warm, stable home life. Despite the challenges of raising a family under the watch of public attention, James and Frances stayed deeply committed parents. They gave their children a life filled with culture, values, and simplicity. Cagney, though often seen by the public as a tough-talking gangster on screen, was in reality a devoted family man who loved quiet evenings with his wife and children far more than Hollywood parties or celebrity events. His relationship with Frances in particular stood as the emotional cornerstone of his life, and her unwavering support played a big role in helping him navigate the highs and lows of his amazing career. Despite his generally friendly public image and reputation as a complete professional, James Cagney had a particular and deeply rooted hate toward one fellow entertainer, Cagney. This hate was not a casual or passing dislike. It was a deep personal dislike that lingered for decades and became one of the most emotionally charged resentments of Cagney's long Hollywood career. While Cagney rarely shared his complaints publicly, those closest to him, including trusted colleagues and friends, knew that he considered Cagney not just a rival, but a figure of contempt. It was a feeling based on a clash of temperament, artistic beliefs, and personal principles. The seeds of this hatred were likely planted during the 1940s, a time when both Cagney and Kelly were powerful figures in Hollywood. Cagney, the hardened, streetwise actor whose dancing came from the vaudeville tradition, and Kelly, the polished, athletic golden boy whose style defined the modern musical. To Cagney, who had spent years working hard through the theater circuit and learning the details of tough guy realism, Kelly seemed more like a conceited showman than a serious performer. Cagney's working-class roots shaped his view of success. He valued humility, grit, and respect for one's fellow actors. In contrast, Kelly was known for his perfectionism, arrogance, and tendency to upstage others. Their personalities crashed violently, and Cagney felt that Kelly not only disrespected his craft but also represented the kind of Hollywood fakins that he hated. Their one and only professional collaboration, that Ville's Disciple, was enough to cement Cagney's feelings. Cagney found Kelly's attitude on set to be unbearably smug, his approach to acting overly theatrical, and his behind-the-scenes moves downright manipulate. According to Cagney, Kelly was less interested in collaboration than in self-glorification, often pushing for camera angles and choreography that would highlight high-sound performance at the expense of others. Cagney, who had always believed in the team nature of filmmaking, considered such behavior disgraceful. He believed Kelly violated the unspoken ethics of the profession, treating castmates as stepping stones rather than equals. Privately, Cagney would often describe Kelly in unflattering terms, allegedly referring to him as that grinning narcissist and a dancer. What thought he was a damn philosopher. He got angry at how the press loved Kelly's charm and athleticism while ignoring what Cagney saw as a lack of emotional depth in his performances. Their resentment deepened as Kelly's fame continued to rise in the post-war years, especially after Singing in the Rain became a critical and commercial triumph. Cagney, while never one to be consumed with jealousy, found that praise given to Kelly to be grossly misplaced, and he took personal offense when critics began calling Kelly the greatest dancer in film, as if Fred Astaire and Cagney himself had never existed. What made the bitterness worse was the contrast in how they were seen publicly. While Cagney was viewed as tough but private, Kelly was seen as charming, witty, and politically outrageous. But Cagney, a lifelong Union supporter and patriot, felt that Kelly's public image was calculated, even fake. He believed Kelly's advocacy was often performative, designed more to keep him in the spotlight than to advance any sincere cause. Cagney, who had fought behind the scenes for actors' rights and even clashed with Warner Brothers studio heads for fair treatment, saw himself as someone woked on principle. Kelly, in his eyes, was acting for applause. Perhaps the ultimate irony is that both men were extraordinarily gifted. Cagney with his explosive, unpredictable presence and tap-dancing finesse, and Kelly with his smooth athletic grace and choreographic synestivation. Yet instead of mutual respect, their differences ignited lasting hostility. When Cagney looked at Gene Kelly, he did not see a peer or an inspiration. He saw a symbol of everything he despised about the Hollywood machine: ego, manipulation, and self-promotion. And while he was too much of a gentleman to launch a public feud, those who knew Cagney well were certain of one thing: if there was one man he truly hated more than anyone else in the business, it was Gene Kelly. In the later years of his life, James Cagney began to experience settling vision problems that led doctors to diagnose him with glaucoma, a serious condition characterized by damaged to the optic nerve, often associated with high pressure inside the eye. Believing this diagnosis to be accurate, Cagney followed the prescribed treatment and began giving himself regular eye drops intended to lower the pressure in his eyes and prevent further worsening of his sight. These drops were a standard therapy at the time, and Cagney, always disciplined and careful, stuck to the routine perfectly. However, as time passed, his symptoms did not improve as expected, and in fact, he began to suffer additional health complications that seemed unrelated to his vision. Concerned and frustrated, Cagney sought further medical evaluations, determined to understand the true nature of his condition. Eventually, it was revealed that he had been misdiagnosed. The problem with his vision was not due to glaucoma after all, but rather a result of undetected diabetes mellitus, a chronic metabolic disorder characterized by high blood sugar levels, can have wide-ranging effects on the body, including serious impacts on eyesight, such as diabetic retinopathy. For Cagney, the delayed diagnosis meant that his condition had progressed without proper treatment, possibly making other underlying issues worse. This discovery was a turning point in his medical care, and he was placed on a new treatment plan to manage his blood glucose levels and minimize effort complications, the diagnosis of diabetes. Especially in an elderly patient like Cagney, brought with it a cascade of new concerns as that disease increased his risk for heart problems, kidney damage, and nerve problems, all of which required careful attention. In 1977, Cagney suffered a minor stroke, a brain event that marked yet another serious development in his declining health. Although classified as minor, any stroke is a cause for concern, particularly in someone of his age, and it underscored the vulnerability of his overall condition. The stroke likely came from his diabetic condition and possibly years of physical strain endured during his rigorous career as a dancer, actor, and performer. Though he did not suffer major paralysis or severe long-term brain impairment from the stroke, the incident did require a period of recovery and likely contributed to his decision to withdraw even more from public life. Friends and colleagues estimated that after the stroke, Cagney became increasingly reclusive, preferring the peace and quiet of his beloved rural farm in upstate New York, where he could live away from the limelight and focus on his health. On March 30th, 1986, James Cagney passed away at the age of 86 after suffering a heart attack. This final blow came after years of mounting health issues. And although it marked the end of a remarkable life, it also brought a close to a long period of physical struggle that he had faced with quiet dignity. Cagney's death sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and across the nation. He had been a towering figure in American cinema, a symbol of both hard-edged toughness and heartfelt sensitivity. And news of his passing prompted tributes from fellow actors, directors, and generations of fans who had grown up watching his films.